going on, everyone? Back again with another photo video, and today we are at the Galax Carnival 2025 with Cole Amusements, and we got something special today with Cole Amusements. So yeah, I'm going to give you guys a tour and let's go. So over here is the food stand that belongs to Galax. They actually have the best hot dogs. I had a hot dog last year, perfect. Taste of the food stand. And right across from that, it's not the Rainforest Expo wheel. It's not the Wonder Wheel. You guys know the one from Power and Thomas? Look who's back. So finally, we finally get a chance to see this ride. And talking to the owner, he did say that during the winter season, he did add new LED lights. So hopefully we'll be able to see that tonight. You can kind of see them a little bit, but obviously it's still daylight, so it's nice to see this ride back in action because we have not seen that this year. We mainly saw the Rainforest Expo wheel. This ride lineup is very short due to the fact that they are split up. Obviously this half is here and then the other half is in Wytheville, which will be in Wytheville tomorrow, so stay tuned for that video. And yeah, Dolan's funnel cake stand. I did find out last year that it does belong to them, so it's actually still kind of brand new. So yeah, right beside that is the Funnel Force swings. We have not seen that since, I want to say Dolan's maybe? Because it wasn't at Orange and it wasn't at Buchanan, so yeah. Taste of the Dolan's beer. And then we got Cole Amusements gear food stand, cotton candy stand, which I do believe that might be the only food stand of Cole Amusements. Because probably the other half is in Wytheville. Dolan's Games.
We have a winner!
Say hi!
Hello.
You got the ticket booth. This is where you get your wristbands at. But yeah, it's nice to be back at a Cole Amusements event because Salem Fair was not a good experience. So it's nice to see familiar people and get good ride cycles. Yeah. I'll make a video about it maybe on Sunday. But there's the carousel. Cross Country Adventure. Like I said earlier, Dolan is here too with their stuff. So it kind of makes the carnival completed a little bit. Skip with the Dolphin. There's standard games over here. And right over here is Cliffhanger. So we have not seen Cliffhanger since Dolan's, because I don't believe it was in Orange. Super Shot, AOM Super Shot. Taste of the Fair Pizza Stand. Monkey Mayhem. And then we got Fusion, Surf City, Dolan's Mousetrap. So pretty much all three of the rides is Dolan's. So, and counting Monkey Mayhem too, because I asked last year and he, the owner for Dolan said, yeah, it belongs to them. So, yeah, Mousetrap. Right across from the Mousetrap is Saturn 16, aka Vertigo. Yeah, last year the Himalaya was sitting here, so I'm assuming Himalaya is in Wytheville. I'm assuming, I don't know 100%. Yeah, here she is, Saturn 16. Yeah, got the little fun spot, more Taste of the Coaster. We got the Dragon Coaster, which I want to say that was at Buchanan. Maybe? Yeah, I think it was. I had to think for a moment, because I kind of lost track of the ride lineup from Buchanan. Yeah, I kind of lost track there for a moment. And then more Taste of the Fair stuff. Cool Amusements lemonade stand. So I lied, there is another stand, but that's just a lemonade stand. There's the fun slide and trampoline thing, and yeah. So basically, it's kind of like a similar ride lineup like it was last year, minus the Sizzler and Rainforest Expo Wheel. But overall, good ride lineup. Oh, and minus the Scat and Himalaya. So this ride lineup is a little bit smaller, but it's still a good event. Good ride lineup. It's nice to be back at a Cool Amusements event, but I am going to be making a sit-down video and kind of explaining what happened at Salem Fair, because believe it or not, it actually took me 3 days to film the rides, and that normally never ever happens. But the past 3 times I've been at Salem this year, it has been very disappointing. The weather wasn't all that good for one, and yeah, so stay tuned for that video. And yeah, make sure you guys do subscribe. I know it's been kind of like a battle with the subscriber count lately again. I have a hunch on who's possibly doing that, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, you know what? Let the rides do the talking. So yeah, I think I might do a live stream. Yeah. What's going on, everyone? Back again with another photo video. Today we're at the Wytheville Carnival 2025 with Cole Amusements, the other half of Cole Amusements. I'm going to give you guys a tour and let's go. So over here is the ticket booth. If you guys watched yesterday's video, yesterday we was at Galax with Cole Amusements, and then also Dueling and Taste of the Fair. Here's the food stands. Bingo. Yeah, overall it's a good lineup for both events. I guess I'm so used to seeing them all together at Buchanan, I'm not used to them being split up. So it's like, it seems like the lineup is smaller, but the reason why is because they're split up. Willie the Well, more little kids rides over here. You got the funnel cake stand. Yeah, like I said, you know, it's a good selection of rides. Dizzy Dragon, the Carousel, Go Gator, another games over here, food stand over here. Yeah, so they're here until tomorrow. So if you guys are in Wytheville, come get yourself down here. Zeusville Parade. So yeah, I don't know when the Wonder Wheel will be coming back out. Probably soon. Once new rally starts, then it'll probably be coming out very, very soon. Jungle Crawl, because they all split up again. They're pretty much, I think, split up until they go to Arlington. So yeah, another food stand over here. Games. Whew, it's a hot one today. I feel like yesterday wasn't really all that bad. More games over here. There's a balloon game. More games over here. Another game over here. And you guys can probably hear it. Rainforest Expo World, which we have seen that quite a lot this year. But it's nice to see Rainforest again. Pretty much the leader of Cole Amusements, if you think about it. Another little kids' rides. Kind of like Dizzy Dragons, kind of. We got the Magic Carpet slide. We got a basketball game over here. The tent thing, which that was at Buchanan. At least it looks like it's from Buchanan. I'm pretty sure it is from Buchanan. So probably this half will be at the New Valley Fair. Probably, more than likely. You got the Himalaya, Cole Amusements #1 Himalaya. You got the Sizzler. And then right beside the Sizzler is the Scat. We gotta come through here, we gotta get away from the music. Whew. Yeah, so if you guys did not check out the Galax video, go check it out. If you guys did not check out the Salem Fair video, go check it out. I am gonna make a sit down video about the Salem Fair on Sunday, so be sure to check out Sunday's video. There's the Rainforest Expo wheel. Yeah, so also new for 2025. Here, I'll show y'all. Hold on. Hold on, I'm getting to it. And then the stand-up games over here from Wytheville itself. And new for 2025 is the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine. If any of you guys watched Scooby-Doo back when you was a kid, You guys know Scooby-Doo, the Mystery Machine. Yeah, it's a cute little ride. If I wasn't too big, I would totally get on that, just for fun. But obviously, I'm not a little kid, so yeah, that's all I have for now.